was. Can't think offhand whether it was the shake tent or the midday ceremony. And it was a couple of different times that we got to hear the story. And they were teaching us our language. They're teaching us our language. And I guess always where I say that where hopefully where it matters the most, you know, and that's inside us. So one elder was talking softly about um, the coming of the dream catcher in English, as he taught us in English, and then later on he translated it to, or it could have been the vice versa. I think he'd spoken Anishinaabe Mawin, and he challenged us to um, try to hear the language and what he was saying and what we knew to catch on. But you know, because once you work on your language long enough, yeah, it's good. You get a good understanding as to listening. You know, it's kind of like school, same thing. But anyhow, and then he went off into English, and I talking about, um, yeah. Oh, I made you think about Stevie. I know. I don't know what made me think about Stevie, but last night I was, hello, Bushu, by the way, everyone. Good morning. After I think I came online last night, and I went and had a smoke, mm, and I came back inside and I watched some YouTube videos. That's what I usually go to. So I went and watched some YouTube videos, and I said, oh, let's take myself to like specifically to a genre, and it was blues. And then I went to blues, and then I went to Stevie Ray Vaughan because I don't know, maybe I just didn't get enough of Stevie back in my day. But getting back to those old traditional sitting around the shkadane, sitting around the fire underneath the stars and the constellations, and then you hear them talking about the dream catcher, you know. But there's, like I said, he's speaking about it in our language. So then when he went on into English, he let us know what he was talking about. That was 1986. Hey, Chris. The Great Storm of 1986 in Winnipeg. I was living on Dufferin Avenue in the north end of Winnipeg. Hey, how you doing, Roddy? Good morning, everybody. This is a good story. I got a good story for you today. But do you remember that big storm, Roddy? 1986, Winnipeg was shut down. Freedom was shut down. Thanks for reminding me that, Chris. I remember trying to hike through that snow, trying to go to get my way to Selkirk Avenue and get myself a gram of weed at the merchants. And what was I to think that there's actually dealers out there in this storm that stopped the Winnipeg? You could hear all the alarms on Selkirk Avenue because you know that's what happens. Yeah, people gotta people gotta eat and survive. So you know, there's a lot of chaos happening. But that was crazy. Was it 97? Thanks. Okay, thank you, Roddy. I thought it was 986. No, wasn't there one in the 80s too? Or was it? I don't know, Roddy. That one in 80 something, I believe. Because I know I was on Selkirk. I was still in high school or one of those schools. Maybe Isaac. It was the skidoos everywhere, and only big SUVs or 4x4s, I think, could get around. But that was kind of crazy. But so there I was this morning, and like I said, I was out there doing my shit, and then I come inside, and I'm trying to think what's bothering me. So I come to social media. Oh, what am I gonna find out there today? And then I seen something right away. I had one of those moments. I'm like, oh, that's what made me think about that teaching. Well, a couple of different teachings. It's our language, and I always get trippy, see, because I try hard. I got so much. Hey, pretty soon, Chris, I'm gonna have a booklet on the Anishinaabe, our language. Very simple too. I want it done simple, like things like that really mean stuff to us, not well, like there's a lot of good stuff that mean, but you can find that in here, like in our language, our prayers. There's things that we have to say in the morning, those things we have to say at night and during the day. These really mean a lot. So that's where you start. And then you get that epiphany when you start small, when you work on the Anishinaabe Mawin, that you get to understand, like, look at the English language, eh, Chris? We got to learn dude, we got to learn, I don't know, there's new slang now. I don't know, but we got to go ask the girls, like these young ladies, Carly and them, these young ones, that this slang, I'm old now. I'm an old goat. Hey, Roddy, we're old goats now, so and there it was this morning, and I'm trying to think about how I'm gonna say it to the world. Eh, Chris? You gotta tell it. You gotta say it softly, but you gotta tell the truth. It's so important to speak the truth because you don't want to water it down, and you don't want to. It's hard to hurt feelings, eh? Especially speaking the truth. But I seen this post. I keep seeing them quite a bit actually, and I always have to little shrug them a bit. Shrug them, and I had to shrug this one person this morning. Of course, Twitter. Twitter, you got to go in there with your boxing gloves on. So I had them on, but I didn't want to. I never want to use them. But I went in there because he was talking about how there's no word for this in their language. There's no word for that. Yeah, but yet there is. Hey, Chris, there's a word for everything. Everything. There's a word for everything in the language. There's no way that I go learn Manitou with that Gikina Gikunatam. There's no way that I go learn that and then I can relate that to everything that I see. Old and new. How do you go with, eh? You have a beautiful day. You drive careful out there. Hey, Chris? So I was trying to say it to him softly. Telling me softly, killing me softly. I was trying to kill him softly to say, like, that's not true. There's a word for everything in our language. And if it's not yesterday, then somebody makes it up today. And hopefully it relates, eh? It relates to something that, like, you don't want to call something a land something in the language and it's actually a water something. Or it's an air something. So you get an understanding of the Anishinaabe Mawin language. You get to learn it, you write it down, so you understand it like school. You write down all the things. So that you don't need to go, Our Father who art in heaven, and you can start to say your own, you can start to think Anishinaabe Mawin. You can start to think in your own way. And then that's when you go out there and you get an understanding, you get a little bit of power to share with somebody and to say with somebody that's not true. Nature teaches you that, not the colonial teachings. They make you stop at some point in your beautiful learning of life. That's where it ends. Every day I learn, and you look and sit with those old elders that I like. They're gone now. A lot of them that I was with, and I knew they were gonna go. We all go. So I knew it was important to listen to what they were trying to leave behind us. Behind us. Some of us listening. Some of us not listening. Some of us listening more than others, and some of us not listening more than others. And that's the truth. It's hard to stay focused around times of learning all the ceremonies. It is hard to learn all of that, especially in a world of confusion. in a world of so much influence, and it's hard to find that right influence, to find everything that it is you need to know in your language. It's all there. That's what good elders will tell you. I've never, so I had to, I had to share with them, that friend today, that what the important thing about spirituality is always been yourself, to find that beautiful self, and that you can be as beautiful as you should be. I've been in a world of hurt, I've been in a world of pain, I've been in a world of addictions, I've been in a world of sickness. But there's something I tell you now that just defeats all that blocks that out, that makes me wake up, and I don't think about what I cannot do for others, what I cannot do physically. If people know who I am, they know enough for me to know that I am out there. I think about them. Whether it's music makers, Gitachikiwenen, as we say, and whether they're gone, whether they're here with us today, I think about them. And I have every day to do it as long as I'm around. So like I say to you, sometimes I might not say these names, but guess what? This morning I'll say different names. It's weird, A friend of mine lost an elder on Instagram, asking me for that type of influence, and in a way I get a little weirded out because I don't think I'm even half ready. But at the same time, it's like, will they even listen? It's, will they listen the way somebody else listens? To see that it has to come from that, when you say the Ishkode, that inside, what's inside you. You're Ode, but that Ishkode, which relates to Shkoden, which is fire. And then you look at outside, what's happening right now, the goon, the snow, and you put that into it, Ginoki Shikun. And that's that cold winter moon. So everything has a purpose in the language. That's when you start to understand and put things old and new. And you can give it a purpose. You can give it a spirit. Manitu wata kikina kikunatam. And you gave it all things a spirit. Yeah, it's spirituality that's missing in all of us. Kichimiguch, cousin. Thank you. It is cool. It's a sacrifice, just like I did with music. Wanting to achieve whatever that was as a Gitachikiwi, and then see, so there's a word for that in our language that I wanted to go find. Or at least be directed into that way, that it's not just going to end up, there is no word for that in our language. I wouldn't want to be left with that. Then what is this calling then? What's this spirit calling? What is this that I can hum? Make melodies. I can grab an instrument to make a melody. I need to know what that spirit is. And even today, as truckers, and we even today are plumbers, our lawyers, they all need that language of love, our beautiful language of Zigadiwin. And it is the most important thing about the language, is it's hard to dedicate your time. Take some time out of the morning. I'm going to do some music soon. But to take some time out of the morning, as I said, to write something down. What it is that I'm fighting for. What it is that makes me an Anishinaabe, not Not indigenous, but you. What it is that makes you Cree, Dene, Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, Squamish, Musqueam. What makes it you? I wonder why our children are lost, or sometimes are. It's even worse today, I find. Just because I can't remember when, and I don't know how it happened, but it was hard for me too. How we got programs out there. They were just coming up back in my day. Big brother, big sister, eh? For that adult figure, my grandmother couldn't provide for me. And if it wasn't going, she couldn't provide that for me. Well, what does a kid do? I'll tell you what he does. He goes and finds it, and it might be on the streets. That's what happens. You know, when I'm talking to my neighbors here and living in a beautiful area, I try to tell them that it ain't that easy. It ain't that easy being sleazy, because that influence is there. Influence, so powerful. It's like money. Because when you get that money, all of a sudden you got that influence. You didn't even gain it. You didn't even get that knowledge to learn influence. You just, boom, you're just a millionaire, a half-assed millionaire. But that influence is there now. It's a matter of what we do good and how we do good. So that was what I had to do. I had to tell them, just like a few other days, I was like, oh man, you guys are just getting carried away with even getting upset at things like that, getting upset that, as I always said, I've never been a person about. I think there was a time, because I was influenced, that I was about cultural appropriation, because I was influenced in it. But then I sat back and I had to go, well, wait a minute. I don't know how to say these things in my language. I don't know the origins of them. I don't know the history. I don't know the knowledge of all these things we're talking about. Eagle feathers, drums, sticks and hide, as my one uncle says, until he actually puts the spirit in the drum. Then I'm like, whoa. Puts the language in the drum. Whoa. Now it's not a drum anymore. Now it's not sticks and hide. But it came with something. It came with knowledge, a background, and it came with its own language, which is gorgeous. Gina Kiwin. It was beautiful. So that's what it is. And that's all I wanted to share with you. Is that just to watch for people like that, to watch for those, that influence in ways that that's just incorrect. If you can adapt something simple like that, like especially like our language, and I see that quite a bit up here, especially. I'm so kind of, like I do say I am grateful, and I am thankful that few of my teachers were from America. There's just something different about that history. The history, when you learn it down there, then I seem to learn it and see it up here in Indianact, Canada. So it's really different in that and how they put the spirit back into you. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to say. Maybe I'll just share something with you from good old Barbara. Oh no, yeah, that was songs, eh? Yeah, that stuff with songs. Kishpin kuke kubozichki ayang da banach kete mande kata kim na minwa kina yang. Miyama king kina ga bij Miyama king kina ga benaji bi ayang. Nisab gona gigashmanan. If we don't do anything, everyone, our land and everything that we are will come to an end. We come from the land. I know what all the land gives us. As we came from our mother, that Mother Earth. That's what I said in the language. Very simple. But you walk with that. You teach those young ones to stay strong and powerful with that. Sick, powerful, following all those young. Give them a prayer. Give them a sense of responsibility, a sense of love, sense of understanding to say those things. You get them to say those beautiful things. Gigashmanan and stuff to talk about their mums. Because it's in the language, eh, Jerry? It's in the language, it's in the ceremonies. It's there. Just need those good teachers. Those ones that make you dream. You get that one egan, that dewegan. You get that dream. All those kids get that dream. How did you get there? How did you get to be an amazing guitar player, amazing drummer, an amazing singer, amazing lawyer, amazing tattooist, amazing counselor, future counselors? Hopefully they're amazing because they can say those things. They know how to say things now in their language. They know that the language is huge and broad and wide like the stars and so on and so on. They know that they can relate it to something. That they can take that responsibility to understand Gun, Gishi, Gun, and then to relate that, and then they can put that to something else and call it something. Take that responsibility because they earn that respect of learning the Anishinaabe Mawin language. And then they can, they'll be those great teachers. They'll teach you that, the language, and they will teach you to carry it on, old and new. That manidu atad kikine kikunatam, that there is spirit in everything. Everything, hockey players, hockey sticks, everything. My drumsticks. That beautiful understanding. So that's why I had to stop them and say, Gawin. Just like the other day I was saying, Gawin, don't fill yourselves up with all that stuff that they're doing there in Ottawa. Don't fill yourself up with that. Fill yourself up with what you're missing. Fill it up. And continue to fill it up. To know what the Manidug is. The Kichi Manidug. To know those. Then you'll be powerful. You won't even care about what's going on out there. You know that you can help your circle, your family. Those that you think about, those who connect with you daily, or try to. And then they too, they can understand that, Manitou Benes is looking out for me. I guarantee he must be thinking about me, and yes I am. As is hopefully many others, and hopefully that's what we teach on to others, is that you gotta become that Ogichita. Not the warrior, not in the English language. You gotta become Ogichita now. Now is the time to become Ogichita. Ginawiya. So then you can understand to learn to take care of Granny and Grandpa, to know that they need soothing music, to know that the sick need soothing music. They need the sick need the soothing language. All that stuff was ours. All that but beautiness. And it's ours. That's with that freedom. All of our ancestors and and the Windagi Nog, they went on. All they wanted to leave with us behind was our language and our culture, our ways, our way of life. It's scary to watch society because I know our people follow that. We do. We can't let go of the past things that we were taught. It's probably a lot of our penance, our bad karma. I don't see it in my life. And I see it in the white language. I don't see it in my life. Anything that has to do with the English language has no depth. So when I even swear in the English language, it has no depth. That's how powerful you need to talk. February 14th has no depth to me. Even if I said I was indigenous, that February 14th shouldn't have any depth. And then I don't know what else to say other than, and then we go, yeah, like, see, my mother-in-law, she's Ukrainian. So it was tough to share that love with her, that this is how we walk. We don't need these beautiful things on these types of days. We're doing good. That's what families need to remember that. Even the ones that are privileged and carry the good life, the Bamadis even. To still know that we don't need to do more. What's that? I read this morning another thing too. I don't know how these epiphanies happen. Our global clothing consumption has doubled in the past decade or 20 years, they said. I agree. Everything has a meaning in colors and t-shirts and whatnot. Everything forgot about the O'Day. To everybody can say that O'Day, the center of self. Put that t-shirt away. And let's speak from the heart. These inquiries, 60 million, 60 billion inquiries, all could have been just dealt with by speaking with the heart, speaking from the heart. A leadership speaks to the people from the heart. They want to heal. There's things that we need to heal from. And it's those ones that we're looking at, the old, the young, and today. What did we all experience? Look where our children are today. Look where our women are. With that title, Murdered and Missing Women. Look where we are today. So question everything. Just like I did this morning. I felt good after. I didn't felt good writing to that person, but I felt good after. Because I thought these are things that we just, it's just, oh yeah, because because these people have a lot of influence. That's why I always challenge them. I'm like, man, you could do so much with that influence. Then to tell another beautiful Indian that there is no word for that. Then I will find one. I will learn your language and I will make one. I will create one. A beautiful one. One that relates to all that it does. It's as simple as the Nina Kasi, that hummingbird in the summertime. Okay? That's enough language. I think about that story every now and then. I get a little I like that story that Jerry told me there about the threes. I still like that. I still appreciate that story, Jerry. It's funny how my father the other day told me about the passing of Owen Alderson. I got to work with these guys for a year. You get to become family a bit, and you get to gig in weekend, weeks, and then weekends. So those ones, You know, when the musician, those ones hit you hard. Speaking of it, it's funny, the Nino Kasi. And there it is. It's right there. Little hummingbird. Yeah, from Ecuador. I don't even know why he's doing it. Just because I got a mess here, that's why. So. It was like back in the day too. Hey Winnie, when you hear those, that's just like back in the day hearing that about the owl. I don't know how many times I heard that one. Oh, the owl. What does that mean? I just saw that on. I saw that again. My beautiful First Nations or tribes of Canada questioning themselves. What is that? Is that bad luck or good luck? Does anybody know? And I'm trying to think as Anishinaabe, Inini, Manidu, Benes Canoe. I'm trying to think. Don't you have enough spirit in you that you can have a talk with that owl or that spirit? Then just take in somebody else's learning language or teachings and say that that's bad luck or good luck or whatever luck it is. Bad luck or good luck or whatever luck that is. It's kukush, kukush, kukush. And that too, that word too, Winnie, that's in our language too. I think that one's a little bit of my guess is that it's a slang word, but that's a word that we grew up with, kukush. Right? You wanted to go get a little dirty. And I say it again, kukush. So we never forget. I still use those languages. I still use those words in this house today. When we brought my little kitty home, I gave her a beautiful name, and that is her name. Her name does relate with the going outside, and my cat's name when we brought her home, I called her Gano Gishikun. That's what I call my cat. So I say, Gishikun, come here. Or Gishikun, oh, boy, mom. Hey, I say that to my cat. She understands both. She knows Linksy, Ombeoma, but she also understands. I shorten it. Full language in her name when I'm out there and I'm saying Kichimekwich Keno Kishikun. But then here at home I'll say Kishikun. Kishikun. Eh? Then we'll sit there and we'll look at the snow, and she don't even like the snow. And I'll say, oh look, that's your name. It's a beautiful name. You know how we take our cats and we put them in the mirror? Look at you, look at that. That's what I do with my cat. I put my cat in the window and I look outside and I say, look at all that. Look at all that goodness. Well, that's what I meant. I wasn't going to say piggy. I was going to say piggy, dirty, cuckoosh. That's funny that you guys say that there too. See, that's another thing about the beautiful language. You can go to some reserves, like some even next door to where you live. There's another teaching. And they could have a complete different language. Or similar, but there's so much difference in it. Then you can go across Winnipeg, go to DOTC days in Brandon, and run into some Anishinaabe or some Sodos or somebody run into Winnie and run into Wewe Sakapos, and all of a sudden you mention Kukush and they know what's going on. And it's like, oh yeah. In some other places it's different, you know. But a lot of it's similar. A lot of it is. I just find out it's different when I started going out more to like Ontario-ish, Toronto-ish. A different type of language there. So Anishinaabe Mawan, or Anishinaabe, and then Odawa, I think it is. Different languages. So we practice. Eh? We continue to practice, and we don't give those one to our kids though, Winnie. We don't give them kukush, okay? Try to give them a little bit of something more than kukush, what I was raised, and I grew up with, and no, sit and practice. I pulled these out yesterday after I was talking on here, doing my route, doing my hellos. I started to go back and look at some of the stuff that I was writing down. Oh, jeez. You gotta just go back and you gotta I gotta relearn all of this again. Gosh, katud. Winji ba ma DZ o ma. Agawa. Bema DZ. See, it's just crazy. It's crazy, the language. But when it gets easier, it gets simpler. It's like with anything, you just practice and it gets simpler. And then just like with everything, once you practice it and it gets simpler, so does the coming of the thanks, then the coming of the giving of stuff, all that comes to you. No word of a lie, just that beautiness comes to you. But you gotta put that full effort into that ode. You gotta put that full work, to kind of rise and do those things, rise and literally trying to let go of that. What is that, eh? Let go of that kush lifestyle, that fast lifestyle that we gotta wake up, boom, boom, make coffee, get on the phone and start checking out the... Take in that moment, don't forget your spirit and what it needs. Needs you to talk to it. Yeah, your little makwas, your little baby makwas. Gikil now ma when you teach them young. Teach them that stuff early. Yeah, you teach those little makwas that. That's right. Your little cute little cubbies, your little family. I hope you're having a good time with your truck, by the way. You didn't give me an update, but I know you got that deadly vehicle. It's not hard. So it wasn't hard. It's made you go and hang with all these beautiful creators, eh? And then you ask them what that is in the language. And they should know. They should know what... They should know what the Yasibakishi Wanayegan is, or at least that they have a word for it. That they created a word for the dream catcher. And then also that they're taught where that comes from. Those two words right there, the Yasibakishi and then Wanayegan. Why these men together and what that means to that specific thing. And it means two different things to where it comes from. The Yasibakishi, the Wanayegan, the spider trap. And the spider trap really resembles a dream catcher. So see, you get to learn from those elders how did they relate all that back in the day. That dream catchers, they were a thing for the children, from what my great uncle told me when he was talking about the Sibakishi Wanayegan. I don't know what like today, he said. But he said, and that's a great uncle I'm learning from. So imagine when he's talking about his auntie, talking about the early 1900s. And there was no things as a dream catcher, but they were making them. And then there was a word for them. So they made up a word. Well, they're not even mine. Maybe Kuku shall take credit for now. I'm just kidding. Can't even take credit for that. They're our language. So I was, like I said, you're taught these things. So I just, and I always try to say Anishinaabe, hey, Winnie. So it's for any Anishinaabe that are listening, that hopefully that it ignites their heart, it ignites that fire inside them, their Ishkode, when they can say these things, you know, and practice them, and so that they know how to say something really, maybe not quickly and not swiftly like some of us can, but that when it hits them, the right words will hit them, the right things that they want to say, and it's like the ones that they practice all the time to like start off with just remembering that everything has a spirit. First start off small, and then all of a sudden all the language, it'll come out. But you have to put something as to why you, what is it that I'm going to say that has deep way win in the truth. See, that's go back to those 7 teachings now, because that all has, that's another thing about all of this that you're learning here. It has it all. It has truth, love, honesty, courage. It has it all. In there, don't have anything that I have to go buy something. I don't have to go buy anything in this, and all these beautiful things. But out there, I gotta teach that. That's what you gotta teach the young ones. Is to carry, is to remember that you got a lifetime. Hopefully you find that spirituality, or that something that makes you feel so whole, I guess. Because we all, I don't know. I grew up that way, and I know from teaching youth and sharing and listening to them, and they want to come talk to Elder Briere, that you get an understanding at what they're asking for and what's it that they're missing, and you know, my elders taught us. It's just very, or our elders, the way when they taught us, it's a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but it's there, you know. So you just guide them to that. You just guide them that it's there, and then they can find it. It's like that music camp I did, right? I did a music camp years ago. I talk about this one a lot on. But having that little 13-year-old girl, Abby, and a room full of boys that are ready to be young adults. There's that thing that we call out there, it's called community, society, and everything like that. But the way I see it is that connection between the old, the young, and us at that stage of life. And they all have to connect. They all have to have that respect and responsibility. So it wasn't until I took them outside of put your guitars away, put your sticks away, Abby. Let's go sit out by a tree. And I did a little teaching on the wolf, on how the wolf pack, and how they all have to be together. And I think it was that language and that setting. Is that I don't know what it was, Christy, that had made me want to take the kids away from our camp, little camp cabin. They're just sitting there, and I was listening to them rehearse, and you can see the separation. And I'm walking in there in the morning, first 9 a.m., first day of class, and I'm like, as a teacher, I'm standing here going, I can't have this happen. They all got to be together, as Uncle says, run as one. So I can't have that. I can't have this. So outside we went, and outside they got a beautiful Anishinaabe teaching, which opened up a whole door of inspiration. And Zagi, the wind came in. All of a sudden, love came in. Courage came in. Akadei, wind came in. All of this love came in, and these kids were talking to each other. And then the next day, it's different, Christy. I show up in a class the next day. I only got 4 days with them, and I show up at the next day. Money do, they call me Money do. Money do. I'm just walking in with my coffee, 9 a.m. Monty Do, we got a song for you. Sit down. Like, you guys got a song? Holy smokes. I sit down. All right. And then I forget, I can't remember his name. He was the leader. He was the leader, like I called him, in the pack of wolves. And he looks at me, ready? And I'm like, yeah. I was smiling. And he looks at Abby, little 13-year-old drummer, 60 pounds, soaking wet maybe. Little, small little girl. All right, Abby, kick it in. The count in. I was floored. I was floored at the beauty between an older boy and giving that trust and responsibility to that young girl. Holy shit, I got chills from that. But that's what it's about. That's what that teaching is about, is giving them that, what's that, talk to them as to who they can become. Not just who they are, not just sitting there and this is what I gotta work with, this is so on. You gotta learn a different type of language. And it's true, it's that Zagi Dwin, it's that knowledge, the Nabakal win. You gotta put that wisdom in there, and all those things. You gotta even put the Akadeo in. You gotta even put the courage aside. I mean, you gotta put that forefront, that courage. To know, first of all, maybe that's the one that you wake up with when you're in a teaching setting, is courage. Akadeo win. To know that I got the courage to go do this, first of all. And secondly, you want that Nabakal win. You want that wisdom. You want that to walk with you. And Gabamosi on your path. That's what it is to be an Anishinaabe, as I was taught. So I wish you all a beautiful today. Noon today. Outside, it's good. Oh, look at that. And look at that. It slowly stops snowing. Music is what we're going to do right away. Gig is tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm nervous because I haven't played sets in a long time. I usually just, what am I saying? Before, it's just a one-off, you go up and do one big set, boom, you're off. But tomorrow and Saturday is going to be the ultimate test. So I got to do some tuning. Again, some things that you can teach and relate that to that mental health and everything else. With me, it's about tuning my drums and, well, first of all, maintenance. You got to make sure everything's as fine-tuned, like a car, like everything, your work. Maintenance. You want to get that maintenance in there, and then you want to fine-tune it. And just get and then Mabijan, and it's ready to go. So thank you for listening to me, Kichi Miigwech. Let's all be speakers of tomorrow. And ask those questions. And if you know those questions, if you know any knowledge, our people need it, everybody needs it. Everybody needs that little nudge of like, how do we really we all know, Bobby? We know that there's more out there than getting back to what I'm saying is about. And I said it to that person as nice as I possibly could, because I tried to think about humility instead of ego and pride. I always try to put humility, that I'm just saying, hey, that that's not how I learned it. But I don't know what I wrote, but I tried to write it as beautiful to say that I kind of write it differently and learned it differently, and that our language is vast and wide. It's beautiful, and it continues. It's just like this earth just cruising, and I don't forget how fast she's cruising, but old and new. That's always comes out. So anyhow, peace out, drive safe, Love to the cubs and to the kitties. Cubs, boys, kitties, girls. Love to the little tribes, to the clans. One day we'll gotta go. We'll talk about that too. The clans. Not really forget that beautiness of what clans used, what they were for back in the day. So we that we just remember what how how much they were all a beautiful circle of what love is meant to be. We're also looking at that beautiful eagle like it's like the USA look at the eagle like he's just a big and mighty, and the Makwa too. And I'm like, there's again, you gotta look and you gotta sit with nature to understand that there's everything that's in that circle. Everything. How the great Nana Bush talking to all those little beautiful little creators that he was with. The story of the Nana Bush, it's there. And when you understand all the little beautiful little animals he's with, trying to get that seed of life going, you understand how important everyone is. The turtle, the muskrat, all of them. They're just gorgeous. So anytime I see anything, chickadee, anything, try to say it in your language too. Try to say bushuka, bushushimeduk, or whatever that is you see. Okay. So anyhow, have a good day today. I just keep yapping, but it's time to get going and rocking. And oh yeah, I don't know if you know which one's me. If you guys can guess which one's me, but I was just going through some old photos, trying to get some new photos, gain some new photos. That's me and my brother. It's me and my brother. A couple of handsomes. We're both music makers. We're both guitar and but then there's that. And then he turned out to be this. Eh? He turned out to be that. How do you go from that? How do you go from that to that? I don't get it. Eh? I gotta thank my friend John for this one. Good old, I'm sorry, Tom. Tom Sutton. I like how he even writes that. Look at that. Manidu Benes. See it like that. I was like, that's really beautiful that you guys learn and use the Anishinaabe when. That's what I said at the camp when I was teaching them. When I said my introduction, none of them were First Nations. None of them. Big camp of bass players, drummers, singers, guitarists, keyboardists. None of them are First Nations. I says, Abushu, hello. He says my greeting. This is my name, Michel Briere. But then I said I went into my other name. I said my other name to my home and my lodge. As I said, it's Manidu Benes Canoe. And so a lot of them were like, ooh, they were like, I could just hear the little rumbling through the crowd. And so a lot of them came up to me the next day and, how do you say that name? They're just cute kids, eh? They're so honest. Hey, how do you say that name? And some very proper, some of them. It was so cute. And I'm like, oh, that's Manidu Benes Ganu. I said, it's two names. And I said, Manidu Benes is what you really want to say in the full language. But I said, see, because we're cool, we get an understanding. I said, I can teach it to you in full. But I said, if you want to stick with Manidu, nice, you can call me Manidu. And it means spirit. And they're like, wow. So yeah, so we did that. We're like, so it was very beautiful. And I get up at the sunrise. So when I woke up every sunrise at that camp and hearing Manidu, morning Manidu, good day Manidu, see you later Manidu. Oh my gosh. It makes me wonder why I used to be a ranter. I used to rant about some things that were going on here in Winnipeg, and I guess only because that the money doogs, the spirits were taking me elsewhere to maybe learn and to see what could be, what should be, and then what is, and how do how to, I don't know what the word is, politics behind it all. But it would have been beautiful. I don't know. That was 2012. I think that was when I think it was when I was really kind of saying, because we were high, we were cruising high. We were all First Nations in the Buffy band at the time. No First Nations now, but there was a time where she had a full First Nations band, and that's when I was talking to the band players. I'm like saying, wishing we should use something with this clout, what we have here, working with this lady, you know, because it was just different. There was things going on here, and it had nothing to do with the youth. Although we're all talking about it, the children of the future, and Whitney Houston songs and everything, generations. Eh? That was a big talk back then. Generations, 7 generations, generations. But we weren't doing anything for the generations. And you can see it. You'll see it in documentaries. You can hear it in words. You can hear it in their words. You could hear it. I do it. I hear it and I see it because, again, I'm a truth teller and I talk about a lot of the beauty and how I was raised in the music scene. But I'll talk about a lot and how I was raised as a Anishinaabe boy and man, what's so all. But I'll talk about a lot of the pain too, because that pain has to come with a lot of my power today. It has to. It's so, and it shouldn't be comfortable. I mean, it shouldn't be uncomfortable. It should be like, look, that's what it is, so that whatever child is feeling that pain, whatever person that needs to heal from that pain, can actually maybe hear it through the voice of this person to say these things that happened. Now, how I get out of that, I don't know, but like I just said earlier, I guess it was maybe some of us dive into that culture and our language more than others, and others want to take it in. Others don't want to accept it. Others choose to maybe not accept it. And we're still there too. We're still out that way where, we have a lot of different people, Indigenous people, Anishinaabe people, First Nations people who are very religious. And it's just it's mind-boggling when I talk to my spouse about what that all came with and how I was raised in it, and all that obedience and all that stuff that came with it. When later on you get what's the word? You want to understand it, you know, and you want to be with somebody that you can actually understand it with. You don't want to be with somebody that you're gonna be into that position of guilt, shame, blame. Hopefully you can find that someone. You can find that someone that, you know, that you get to be open about everything about yourself. Talks, I guess, you know, talks about things like here, like February 14th coming up. I got a reminder meme about a thing that I posted, I guess last year maybe, on the origin. See, because I always talk about origin, so I just realized, I'm like, oh yeah, the origin of Saint Valentine or Valentine's Day. So they took the saint out, but if you dive into the origin of Valentine's and all of those beautiful things that others have gifted us, and just put an understanding to them. You know. So that's about it. Yes, that's who I was talking about, Christy. There was a beautiful time where she had many First Nations artists backing her up, and it was a beautiful time. But I don't. We were all. It wasn't. We were all. What's the word? What's the word? Um, Distracted. We were all distracted. Because I definitely take a lot of it myself. It wasn't until later that you actually could see some of the good things that you can possibly do. Just like when we played You Gotta Go Now, I Know Winnie, You Take Care. But when it's like when we played on those three reserves there, Sweetgrass, Pasquia, I mean, uh, those three reserves that we played there. Uh, there's a sense that I know it could have been more. Especially, like I said, when you're from somewhere and you're different, you're in a different seat, you've been in there, you played a lot of reserves, a lot of your years you've been playing reserves. So you get an understanding as to what happens, what goes on, how quick it works. Pascal, there it is. Thank you. Yeah, it was that. It's those things. It was those types of things. It should have been. It should have been like all First Nations. I was thinking, Winnie. So it's like it's almost like when sometimes it's when you want to just put that celebrity hat down, especially if you're talking to Pasco. Yeah, you want to bring in those that you carry with you who are First Nations. Then they can share their story how it is to work with her and be one of them. Like, hey guys, I could have said to hey Pasco, yeah, I'm Mani Dupanes Canoe. Tell them where I'm from, tell them how I was raised, and it's no different than you guys. Maybe your kids will understand. Yeah, we played by the water. We walked to town, and and we did our trapping and our little hunting and our fishings and so on. And we grew up like you know, or I did, where it was. It was just that Indian way of life. It wasn't until you come to the city where you get it. And then again, you're not taught back in that day just the importance of how to take care of yourself in the city. Because the reserve was different back in the day too. You could stop at an auntie's or somebody would pick you up. You knew. I was talking to my cousin yesterday about that, how different it was for the 70s and the 80s, how different it was for us kids being around our aunties and our uncles too, and getting that obedience or that, because we're bad, we're not doing good things, and hopefully somebody's there to tell us and maybe put something into us, that enough fear, because I don't know, Winnie, I would not want to talk to any of my nephews or nieces today, because I know right away I'd probably get what is that they say a lot today, kids talk back today, and there's no way that we would have ever done that. So we wouldn't be waking up and talking about you know wouldn't even be thinking of swear words. It's almost like sometimes you just feel that your granny or one of your great uncles just kind of understood that, oh my gosh, they just know I'm mad, so they would discipline you. And so I grew up thinking, oh, I can't wait to be that. I used to say that to my uncle. I used to say that to my older cousins. Oh, I can't wait to get old enough so I can do that. The disciplining. And But no, times changed for us. They changed, and now it's I can't say nothing. So, but hopefully that, like I said, hopefully you see that shift. You always see these people say that too. Oh, there's a shift. Well, the only shift that needs to be done is that shift where it's just a community hall, community setting, and a reserve community setting here in my neighborhood where we can all get there and talk and just remember what community was. Remember that we do look out for, oh, be reminded that we have to look out for each other, take care of one another, greet one another, and greet one another with that equalness. So that's what I wanted to also mention. Because it's funny what privilege can do to you, and then where you end up living, and and then people how they see you living. It's kind of strange when you're doing when we're doing our little whatever it is, little ceremonies or things that you do differently. And people are spying on you and checking in on you just because you're doing something away of that, away from television. I wrote yesterday, television is reality, and reality is less than television. I remember hearing that yesterday somewhere. So I thought of that. I remember I kept that in my head for a while. Television is reality, um, but reality is less than television. So I was like, wow, because we don't watch any of that. We don't shit for I don't know how long, 4 years. We go on it for once and a bit, just to see what maybe the weather is, and see what's going on, like restrictions, especially. I guess that's what we've been checking in on the news to see what we can do, what you can do, you know. Um, and so that's what it was. And well, it's all about how we use that. You see, that's exactly. It's just, you know privilege. I don't know. It's I guess what it is. It's like I guess we have to explain what types of privilege. See, this is privilege where I'm living at, and the type of life I'm living at. But I'd like to. But it's the privilege is for me. It's this that makes me wasteful. Is actually we need to understand in our household here, Christy, that we do have a great life, and we made sure that we understood that from our families. That give us even more of that privilege and more that we don't need. And we made sure that we understood that we have a very good privilege and to make good of it. And so I'm scared we're going to garden this summer, you know, and I have to get on top of that. But privilege in the past, yes, it was very wasteful. And it's it's something I appreciate learning from when I worked with celebrities and stuff and so on. But you definitely nailed it there. That I learned from a type of level of where privilege could be very wasteful and not meant to be. And it's like like I didn't want to be around it. And thank you for that, saying that. It's like, well, is this like this woman that's speaking about this and that when we're very wasteful and we're not talking about it? Be backstage and there's like seven, eight Nestle water bottles all have like one shot, and. And I'm sitting there watching that, Christy, going, we don't know, we're not aware of our privilege. And you know why it is? You know why it is, Christy? Because we don't talk about it. We're all living into like, this is the person, this is who it is, this is God, and then you guys are the band, and you see, so we're the same. And you can have a beautiful indigenous artist up there, but you go behind the curtains, And it's no different than Blue Rodeo. It's no different. All of a sudden they take off that hat now. They've taken off that choker. They've taken off that headdress. And then you see it. You see where the waste comes from. And that's why you go back, and I go back to my hotel room. And, my guitar player sees me working on my Anishinaabe, my wind language. He gets it, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say to myself, or my spirit saying to me, Christy, that you're in it, you see. And I don't know. I know I'm going to go back in it. I was talking to my beautiful connections in Australia the other day. We're looking forward to our touring again. But I was so very thankful that I was actually finally working with people that we actually did it. We talked about it. That beautiful tour that we did with the Homelands, we learned so much about doing that. Man, it took a lot of power. And it came from the Ikwe. And it came from the women. The voice was one of the men, which was me, that it has to be this way. If we're going to go out there and be good and talk about our indigenous selves and stuff, we have to try to walk our way. So it was taught. So that was when we started to find things and clash with things about our own personals and stuff like that, our own ways. And that's where I like to teach others. It's like it's not so easy when you want to become that band, or you want to be the indigenous band, or you want to go work with, say, indigenous artist who has that type of beautiful cloud. It's especially if you're looking for that. What is it that's burning inside you that wants you? Well, it is. You know what it is that you grow up in a beautiful little city called Winnipeg, and you grow up in an area called the North End, and it's all the First Nations. And then you come back, and now you're living in a privileged area, a privileged life, away from all of that. Now I'm away from it. But I'm still connected to it, and you still hear the same stories, if not worse, Kids were or at least that we didn't hear about it. We didn't. And I was a North Ender. We didn't hear of kids killing themselves at 14 years old in our day and age. We were going home at midnight 2 days later. That's how it was for us. So, and I know from talking to many of my beautiful brothers and sisters who were in that lifestyle too, they don't want that for their kids. Because again, they know what it's like. It always takes us till we're at our age. Some of us, we get to that certain age of our lives where we reflect, and then some of us have, when we have the children in care, like my friends when they're saying that's not what they want for their kids. And I sit back and I think, well, man, I wish there was something for them, It sucks, and then I'm sitting there telling them about, hey, shit, I'm doing this music camp in Ontario, rocking kids, 13 to 17-year-olds, like deadly camp setting, 400 kids. First thing that they always say, is this for Indians? Is this for indigenous kids? First thing that's the first thing that anybody ever says. That's indigenous. And then, of course, my answer back is no. It's crazy. I'm like, I don't teach one indigenous kid. The odd one here and there. And even then, I didn't even recognize that they were indigenous. But those are the kind of dreams I had. I don't know what others dream about, but that's what I dreamed about when I became a music maker, and especially when I got a little bit of that privilege, right, Christy? A little bit of that stardom, a little bit of something. I realized, well, man, bring that back home. So the next Michelle Briere, the next Briere, can even be better than the next. Because I was looking up at Don Ranville. I'm looking up at drummers, and people don't know about Bob Brett, Doug Huel. These guys are local players. One's my dad. But these guys are local players that I used to go see. Brett Fitz, gosh, Alec Friesen. These guys I used to go see play when I was young. And that's that music history. And, you know, take it in and wanting to be that. Now, when I wanted to be that, and then I became that, then I was like, oh shit, now I became that. Now what next? Because there's always something. I learned that now too. So, it's like when somebody asks you, oh, what is your deadliest thing to do or something? And then I'm like, yeah, well, it would be the deadliest thing at that time because once I do it, then I'm going to want something else deadlier. So you see, that's what I'm saying. So that's what it was. I was like, I think that's where I had that epiphany when I started to work with Eagle and Hawk and actually do the token Indian thing and start to wear start wearing chokers, and I say that in a beautiful way too, and along way all of us like to say it in a sarcastic way as well too. But that token Indian, that's rock and roll. That's out there. Redbone's been doing it, and a lot of people been doing that back in the day. So and we're continuing it. I look at young artists doing exactly what we were doing. I'm like, yeah, that's that's fucking awesome, you know. I just hope that like we all go like one of us like we all like take that sense of responsibility that we go home and we learn about these things, and like we learn about like I said when I started to first hear that drum in the band setting after working with Keith Secola. And Keith Secola had a real drummer. Oh, Monty Sinqua. I love you, brother. He was the real deal. Real drummer, real singer, real dancer. I mean, that's who was in our band. It's my first time ever working with somebody of that nature. Yes, Eagle and Hawk back in 1992. A long time ago. 1994. And it shook me. It shook my spirit to know that here I am on my drum set. And there's a beautiful dude in his regalia, and he's playing a traditional drum beside me. And I'm going, man, this fucking guy just knows a lot about the drum. I'm guessing he just knows a lot about to ask him questions. So I wanted to go out, and once we were done, of course, I started to ask. As like a little kid, I started to ask him so many questions about the drum, the powwow, what does they call that? Um, like the etiquette in a powwow, what to do with powwow. I wanted to dance, I wanted to learn how to sing. But that was my introduction. And he didn't know enough about what I was trying to ask him. I was asking him so many questions. And I know, yeah, my cousin told me about cousin Vince. Yeah, he's my cousin, second cousin, I believe. And definitely think about him a lot because we did a lot. Everything that I'm talking about now, I watched him grow. We were doing so much things, me and Vince. We were doing so much things in a short time. Nobody knows this, but from 1994 till about 1996, 98, 4 years, we were going to Europe almost every 2 months. It seemed like we were going there we were just steadily going to Switzerland, and that was our home base. And even then, that's again like it was after 4 years where because I was getting not sick of it, but I was like, maybe we can maybe we can ask others to come out, like so we brought Errol out. We brought Errol Ranville from Seaweed. We backed them up. But then then that's when slowly I started to exit Eagle and Hawk. Yes, because it was just wasn't going in the direction that I don't know. I always feel like There's always something more that we can do. I don't know why. I just maybe that's from the movies. Maybe that's from watching too many movies. But we were like, when you're going to these countries for so very often, so privileged to go there every few months to tour, and then you're kind of seeing that you're touring the same places. And then you come home, and I come home, and then I'm going to play reserves again. Now I'm going to work with Fred Mitchell from the Freebird Band or So and So Trapline or who it was back in the day. Then I'm back to my normalness. Now I'm back on the reserve playing country songs, playing that two steps and Neon Moon and something. And then Vince calls me, and next thing you know, we're back out in Europe and back in his playing indie, and it was so fucking different. And a lot of us still do that to this day, where we go out there to Europe and they expect us. They expect a very token Indian, like almost Sitting Bull style, and a lot of us play it. You know, you sit there and you watch the best of them play, as I say, token Indian. You know, but then you sit back and then I've been there. I've been there. When we went there with 60, 90 Indians at that time. I believe it was 90 Indians. So again, this was before Eagle and Hawks. Kisa Cola took us out there. Kisa Cola took us to Europe my first time. We opened up for Neil Young. 90,000 people. I was broke. I was a broke kid from the North End. I had no fucking camera, nothing. I just had my eyes to memorize it all. And the beautiful work with Vince and Keith and Moonty. We didn't have a bass player. That was the craziest fucking gig ever. Who goes to Roskilde Music Festival with no bass player? Well, Kisa Cola did. Well, we did. But then we went back there, and this is where I got to meet some of my elders, and thank God that they were in Anishinaabe too. But we went. I got on some sort of big 90 Indians. It was a full powwow, like a traveling reserve. But the reserve, the way it should be, had carvers. It had beaters. It had a powwow dancers. It had music. Us. It was pretty crazy what the Pequot tribe did. That was the tribe that put it on, and you learned a lot. So that's where I got culture shocked. I was 26 years old, and I got to be around so many cool, fucking, very beautiful Indians. I'm like from the city of Winnipeg, North End slang and all my language and hood talking. And I go there, and all of a sudden I'm running into it's like somebody from a Ute tribe or somebody from this tribe, Hopi tribe, and they're just their knowledge and their ceremonies and culture just fucking it just brought me down to tears. I went back to my drums, and I just I looked at myself and I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Like, these people know who they are. you know so it was, I don't know where it was Italy. I remember it was warm, and Italy was warm. So we were traveling to Italy. We went down south from Switzerland, and we got to Italy. And the powwow started. And I guess one of the dancers knew that he saw that I was always there for the powwow, always there sitting there, always there meeting the elders and stuff. And so he asked me if I wanted to dance. And I said, yeah. He says, you want to use my outfit? And I'm like, yeah. So he lent me his outfit. Off I went dancing. Oh, it was so great. Our first time dancing powwow was in Italy, Bolzano. And so I did that. My buddy Jody took some photos of me, and I'm busting a move, grass dancing. And then I got off, and I remember going to sit with these beautiful people. And they were the Dowds, Donnie Dowd. And they were from Wisconsin. They were Anishinaabe. And they were also Meday teachers. Very old ceremony we have. And they were talking to me in such a beautiful way. Oh man, we were watching you. Hey, you're the drummer for Kisa Cola. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And I'm initially exactly, Jody. There's two sides to Jody. I love Jody. There's that beautiful. And then you see him back in the lodge, and he's just like, who the fuck is this guy? But he knows them too. He knows Donnie Dowd and that family. And they took me home. It wasn't until a year later I said, give me your number. We wrote our numbers down. I'll come see you. And it wasn't until a year later, in wintertime like this, Gishigun, Gano Gishigun. We drove there from Winnipeg. Me and Jody, driving in his van to Wisconsin, go take in some sweats and stuff and see his mom. And there it was. I seen Donnie again and his family. Oh, Michelle, you're here. You made it. Oh, I'm gonna have a sweat for you. Holy shit, I'm all excited. I don't know if it was Jody that told him, or maybe I told him we were outside having a smoke. And do you have a name? Before we go into the lodge, I'm like, no. Oh, well, maybe that's why we're doing this ceremony then tonight. The sweat. That's probably why it is then. So we had a couple of uncles come over and asked for money. Dubonais Canoe was called on me to take that name and respect it and carry it with responsibilities. So I just wanted to share that too. So it's just funny how that beautiful world of what it is that's trying to find you, and you just follow it, trying to open your heart to it. And as one of my other uncles tells me when I was fasting, just to understand how pitiful I am. That was the most beautiful Anishinaabe prayer I got from an uncle, Dave Murdoch, another one gone. And he left me that prayer. He talks about pity in Anishinaabe Mawan and just what that pity is, especially when you're fasting. Man, that made a lot of sense to talking about that, how privileged I am. I was so privileged when I was in the bush, crying that I was missing the outside world. And then Christy, then I leave the bush, and I'm in a car, and I'm going back to Winnipeg, APAM, and then I'm crying. I'm crying because I want to go back. I want to go back to the bush because it was a safe place. I was just understanding everything. I was just understanding such a peaceful, loving scenery. And I was going back to the city, and I was realizing, oh shit, it's a whole different type of influence out here. Be ready for it. As John Trudell says, it's a spirit eater. Sure is, John. Took me a while to understand that one, but I was like, yeah, it is. That influence out there. Anyhow, beautiful day. Have a beautiful day today, all yous. Take care of yourselves in a good way. And we'll see you tomorrow night at the Canadiana at 7 p.m. Fred Mitchell and the Fringe. Rock and roll. Hang loose. Anyway.